Before I go into electrical work and first fix and stuff like that, electricity kills, as you all know. I think the term is a competent person. If you feel you are competent to have a go and you've got an electrician to come and test it, then so be it. If not, get yourself an electrician in anyway, because it does kill, it causes fires, and it can ruin your bloody life if you get it wrong. I'm qualified to install. Adam's also qualified to install and to test as well. So therefore, we are both competent persons. Okay, so there's your disclaimer. It's dangerous, it can kill. Get somebody in to do it if you don't know what you're doing. Right, this is the one that's going to cause me loads of grief, I'm sure it is. What we're going to talk about today is first fix electrics, and we're also going to do the warm and the cold roof scenario. So, Sparkies, get ready to give me some grief. I don't know the correct terminology for everything, as with all my other videos. The terminology sometimes isn't correct because my mind doesn't work that well. Right, what we're going to use is we're going to use 1mm twin and earth, and we're going to use 2.5 twin and earth. We're going to use the 1mm for the lighting circuits, and we're going to use the 2.5 for the power, for the sockets, and for the heater. Is that it, Adam? That's it, isn't it? Yeah, so I'll show you these. This is the 1mm cable, twin and earth. Twin and earth, it's got 2 conductors and it's got an earth as well. Is that all right, is it? That's the 2.5 twin and earth, 2 conductors, and it's got an earth as well. You've got your 1mm and you've got your 2.5. This cross-sectional area is 1mm and that one is 2.5. The 1mm for the lighting circuit and the 2.5 for the power and the heater. Obviously, you've got more current running through it, and that's why you need a bigger cross-sectional area. So that's your 1mm, sorry, and that's your 2.5. What we're going to do, Ali Dimmock talks detailed about lights, lumens, and how many lights you should put in a build. If you want to go down that route of working out how many lumens you need, that's absolutely fine. What we will do generally, because of experience, and we know a room of this size, I will say 8 lights will be more than sufficient. But what we'll do, depending on where the timbers are and where the openings fall, sometimes we'll have 8, sometimes we'll have 10, but we'll never go down as little as 6. If we go to 10, it means because of the spacings, that's how it's worked out. But 8 is more than sufficient for this size room, which is 4.7 by 2.7. So if Adam comes in there, I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to work out where his lights go. We're going to come 700 off that wall, and we'll put a row of lights there. We'll come 700 off the front wall, and we'll put another row of lights, which will be parallel to these lights. What we'll do, we'll get our 1.5. We will, can you see that, Adam? We will drill through the noggin there, and we will tack our cable tight to the top. The roof is already boarded, so there's no risk of putting nails or screws into the cable. And in future, if anybody does put a nail or a screw through the roof, then the roof's going to leak, so popping the cable's the least of your worries. So like I say, we're going to put the cables tight up there. The doors are sliding all to the left, so the light switch will go over there. What we're going to do, we'll start at the back and we'll work round in a daisy chain formation, which I will show you now. So, lighting system, it's as easy as this. Whoops. Right, so light, light switch. Right, so we've got a light there, and there, and there. 5 lights, so you just bring the cable from that light to that light, that light, that light, that light, that light, and back to your light switch. And there's your fuse board. So here's your light switch. Inside your light switch, you've got, let's say it's a 1-gang light switch, just to simplify things. You've got your common, you've got your L1 and your L2, right? So a fuse board. So your cable, your 1mm cable comes from your fuse board. Your live goes to common. Your neutral, we're going to join in a connector block. So from these cables, you've got your twin and earth coming. So your live goes to L1. Your neutral goes to the connector block. So you've got your two neutrals in your connector block. You've got your 2 lives from your fuse board to common, from your light to L1. So what happens then? That is not connected. When you flick that switch, that then becomes connected and your lights will come on. Okay, so that's as simple as that is. I just want to tell you and all, if in doubt, you need to get a qualified electrician in, electricity kills. I'm actually qualified to install. Adam, who's on the camera, he's qualified to install and to test as well. But I mean, a lot of you guys that are going to build these on your own, you'll probably have a go wiring up yourself, and you'll get an electrician to come in and test it afterwards then. So the way we do this, there is no joints hidden anywhere in the ceilings or in the walls, and therefore if there's any problems, they're easy accessible, which obviously there isn't any problems, but just in case there is. So that's your lighting circuit. What we're going to do now, we're going to wire all that up. I'll show you it wired up. I'll show you a first fix on that, and then what we'll do then, we'll jump onto our 2.5, run our power sockets and run our heater as well. Right, so we've determined where his lights are going. You can see there on the ceiling, I'll just show you. So we've pinged a line with the chalk line, and it's 700 off the back wall, 700 off the front wall. We've also worked out where our lights are going. You can see there, so we've worked them out. So what we've done, we started at the back light, the last light on the circuit. We've then clipped it tight to the ceiling. I'll explain that, why it's clipped like that as well. We've dropped down tails there for both. For the lights, obviously you've got your last light, then you've got your next light and so forth, and it goes round, as I said, in a daisy chain. So everything clipped tight to the ceiling, and I'll explain why. We've drilled through the back there. You can see that there now, Adam's going round. The reason why he's taping them together is so that when we put the plasterboards up, when we cut the holes for the lights and we pull the cable down, we know that we've got both cables because they're both taped together. And there, so then that will there. So that there is the cable running back. It goes right along there and it drops down the front of the building. And much to the horror of all the Sparkies, I am clipping to the outside of the building, and I'll explain that as well. We've run the cables down there. We've run the outside lights in the canopy as well. There's 4 going in there. So what I've done, I've marked up both cables. One's outside, one's inside. I've also created a drip loop as well. There you go. The reason for the drip loop is any moisture on the wall will run down there and it will drip off there rather than running into where the socket's going, which will be there. So that'll be the light switch, sorry. We'll do the same with the sockets as well. We'll put drip loops on them as well. So any condensation or moisture will run down the cable and drip off the bottom there rather than go back into the building. What we'll do then, once we've plasterboarded it, we'll put our back boxes on and we'll drill out the back boxes. The cable will then go through into the back box and the hole will get siliconed, which will then be sealed as well. I'll explain about clipping them outside and why we're doing it that way as soon as we do the circuits for the sockets and the heater as well. Right, so we've run the lights. You've seen us run them. So that's the lights first fix. The term is first fix, to get the first fix of the cables in. So what we're going to have now, we're going to have a double socket over there. We're going to have a double socket there and a double socket there. We're also going to have 2 double sockets over there as well. So that will be the socket circuit. We're going to do that as a radial rather than a ring. Now a ring is exactly what it is. So both ends go back to the board, whereas a radial comes from the board and stops at the last socket. So what we're going to do, right, so obviously you need to seal these buildings, you need to insulate them and they need to be warm and you need to prevent any moisture buildup and stuff like that, right? So there's 2 ways of wiring it. There's the way that the Sparkies will tell me is the only way. So there's 2 ways of wiring it. There's the way that the Sparkies will tell me the only way, and there's the way that we do it, simply because, so what you could do, you could insulate it, you can put your cable through like that, but then you run the risk of when you plasterboarding it, putting a screw through, or you run the risk of the customer then when he comes and puts a picture on the wall, some shells or something like that, screws into it, he's going to damage the cable, and you've got an issue then because your wall's plastered and finished. So what we do, we run the cables on the outside. Now, all the boards, all new installations are RCD protected, and so if you look at the regs and the rules, I can't remember quite the terminology for it, but if you cannot get the cable more than 50mm depth, then the cable must be covered by metal or protected by RCD. The board is RCD protected, therefore running it that way, you're not going to get your 50mm depth, but you're RCD protected, so that's absolutely fine. Run it externally. If Adam just comes around here and I'll show you now. If you run the cables externally, we've also got So we'll have cladding on there. The cladding's 18mm. They're 25mm each. So that's 68mm depth is that cable. So that covers that. And it's also RCD protected as well. And you're not going to run the risk of a customer screwing into it and damaging it, because it's going to be cedar clad and there ain't going to be no getting fixed to this. So, and it's an easy fix if it does get damaged in the future. It's a case of pulling off a few boards, repairing the cable, and there you go. Whereas that, it's plaster, it's popping holes in, it's filling. So this is the way we do it. There's also another benefit from this and all. If you run it externally, you also maintain the integrity of the insulation. If you look now, all the boards, they're all insulated, the wall's fully insulated. So what we'll do, we'll plasterboard it, we'll put a back box in there, we'll drill out through the back, the cable will then come through the insulation like such into the back box, so you've maintained the integrity of the insulation on the wall. So I know I'm going to get loads of grief about this, and a few Sparkies have already said it's rough, but it does fall within the regulations as far as what I can see, and it's RCD protected, so there's a benefit to it. If you want to run it that way, that's absolutely fine, run it that way. Or if you want to run it externally, which you're never going to pin into it, then that's fine as well. Okay. Right, we're putting 100mm insulation in the roof. Now, those of you who have watched my other videos, you'll know where I'm going from with the roof, with the cold roof, warm roof, and a hybrid roof. Hybrid is a cross between two, and this is a version of a hybrid roof. Basically, what happens with a cold roof, your insulation traditionally would be flush with the bottom of the timbers. You'd have a minimum of 50mm gap at the top, and it'd be vented both sides, because that air in there will then condensate when that, obviously that's the roof there, so that's when the air meets the roof there, it's cold, it'll condensate, form on drips on there and form mould, and eventually destroy the roof, possibly. That's why it's vented both sides, so it can dry out. A warm roof has got the insulation on top of the OSB, and then a little layer of OSB or whatever on top of that, and then you move roof membrane. Right, because you're limited to your 2.5 height, this is why we do this type of roof. So what we do, we push the insulation tight to the OSB. Now, I know I'm going to get loads of complaints about this, loads of people screaming, it's going to rot and it's going to mould. We'll just take a look at this video. John built his 3.5 years ago, and he just asked him to pop a light out so he can have a look and you can see the OSB. So have a look at that and I'll carry on then.
Right, Liam, don't know if you can see that. Hang on, I'm trying to get a bit of light here. Go a bit further away. It's bone dry as the ceiling. If you look closely there, you can see obviously I didn't, oh bloody hell, sorry about that mate. I didn't push my kingspan up to the ceiling, so there is an air gap between the ceiling and the kingspan, but it's absolutely bone dry, geezer. Now if my light don't go back in there, look, around that corrosion outside, you're coming up to fix it.
So we've had a look at that, so you can see there, 3.5 years, there's no mould whatsoever on his underside of his OSB. Now, when John did his, he didn't push his insulation tight to the ceiling, nor did he have a vapour barrier. But what we're doing, we're pushing it tight to the ceiling, so there is no air there then. And what we'll do then, we'll nail them insulations up so they can never ever fall down. So if there's no air there, it ain't going to condensate, just like he's just showing you there on that video. What we'll do then, we'll put a vapour barrier over there, and then that'll be plasterboarded. So this air gap here will be ambient air temperature to the room. So, like I say, 100mm foil backed, popping it in. Obviously, you need a good tight fit. And then what we do then, we just drive some nails into it like that. And that will prevent it from ever dropping down and prevent ever a gap where air can condensate and cause mould. Now the idea behind that is it can cause mould. It doesn't always. Cold roofs don't always fail. Right, I'll show you now how we get round where the lights are. So we're having downlighters in this ceiling. So what we've done, we've worked out the location of the light. We've cut 100mm square out, so that's where the centre of the light goes there, and we've cut that 100mm square out. We've also cut a track at the insulation there for the cable, so that's not going to impede that, and it's going to be able to push tight up to the OSB then. I'll show you how we cut that track out in a second. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop that insulation in there, we'll drop that light through like that, and there. Now, if you come a bit closer, Adam, you can see now we've cut a little track out there. So that cable then is trapped there. And what I'm going to do now is the square we cut out, the 100 by 100 square we already previously cut out, Adam's now ripped. It's approximately an inch he's ripped off it. So what I'm going to do now is put that foil side up, squeeze that in there like that. I'm just going to get 4 nails, just pop them in the insulation like that. Can you see that all right, Adam? Yeah. That will then stop that falling down. What I'll do it the same as the other one then. I'll pop that up tight like that. Pop a nail in it. Pop that one up tight there. So now you've got your light well there, you've got your fully insulated. I mean, so there's no condensation going to build up above that light as well. So that'll be his light spot there for his light. What we'll do then, we'll go down the back, because obviously we've pushed these up tight. We're going to fill these gaps with rock wool there. Can you see them, Adam? Yeah. We're going to fill all them gaps with rock wool, all down the front, all down the back, sorry, and down the front as well. So any little gaps will go around with expanding foam and fill them. So that'll be your ceiling, fully insulated. The key to success with this is to push the insulation tight to the ceiling so there's no air void and there's going to be no condensation risk. So as you can see, 3.5 years later, that roof is exactly the same as it was the day it was fit. So, you know, whether you go cold roof, warm roof, or if you want to cross between a hybrid roof, then that's entirely your decision. But there you go, it does actually work. And the key behind it is they are low occupancy rooms. What happens in the house, and this is where you mostly get it as well, when they've had a dormer conversion or something like that. So they've built a dormer, you've got all the moisture from the house, people living in the house, showers, baths, kettles, cooking, heating, and all the moisture's rising up, and that's where you get the moisture up at the top. Like I said, these are low occupancy rooms. They're not used all the time. There ain't nobody sleeping in them. If we build one and it's an annex, a granny annex or something like that, they will have planning and we will go down the road of doing a warm roof. But because we're limited to the heights on 2.5, this is the solution to it. It does work. So, I mean, it's your decision anyway. So we've fully insulated the ceiling, we've filled the holes, any little gaps or anything like that, we've filled them with some expanding foam. Adam's going round now and he's fitting rock wool to the gaps at the back and the front where the wall meets the roof. You can see that there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the plastic membrane, the vapour barrier out of the van, and I'm going to show you how we install that as well. Right, so we're going to put a vapour barrier on now. It's about 20 quid or something like that from Screwfix. The idea behind this is that it stops any moisture going up into the ceiling and through into the walls. So what I've done there, basically, I've just rolled it out on the floor, longer than what I need. And then what I'm going to do then, I'm going to staple it up using this DeWalt stapler, staples obviously. What I've found you're better off doing this on your own than getting somebody to help you, because it just ends up going all over then. So what you want to do is just try and keep it relatively tight. I don't know if Adam wants to come this side of it now and get underneath it. So I'm just stapling it to rafters there. I can obviously feel them with my hand. I'll just fast forward this little bit here now. Right, okay, so I've showed you the cables for the lights. So Adam's now running the cables for the sockets. So basically, again, it's just a daisy chain. It's a radial, socket, 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 and then end one fuse board. So the fuse board's going on the other side of that wall in that corner there, so he's running them there. The reason why there's two, one is for the radial for the sockets, the other is for the fuse spur for the heater. And what we'll also do we'll run a 1mm from there, because that's where the fuse board's going, that's where the cable's going into the fuse board. We'll run a 1mm from there back round to the light switch, which will then power the lights. So that's the First Fix Electrics. I know it's not to everybody's tasting, especially if you're an electrician, you're going to give me hell over this and go for it, that's fine. But as you can see, it's clipped to the outside. It's going to have cedar cladding over there. Nothing's getting fixed to the wall. The cables ain't getting damaged. And if they do get damaged in the future, it's a case of popping off a couple of bits of cedar, repairing it, and then you're good. So, and it's RCD protected as well. So you know as well as I do, if you're a sparky out there, you can trip a board even when it's not energised just by cutting the cables. They're that sensitive. Is it what's the speed that they trip at, Adam? Is it 0.004 of a second or something like that? Is that right? For a breaker. That's for a breaker, yeah. So it's all protected and it's all good. Thank you.